Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to a special live stream. There's a really interesting event going on today that I am able to participate in that I want to make you aware of. My name is John Skippy Limcool. This is my website, pluginguru.com, and I'm showing you my plugin Unify, which is a really cool combination of a plugin with 505 patches that are really fun, inspiring patches to play with, get you into all sorts of cool musical adventures. But it can also read all of your plugins and let you play with them in really cool, creative ways. So I want to just give you a chance to check this out. We've been out since January. We've gone through 3 major revisions so far, many more to come, because we are continuing to work and develop this, and my nose itches. So I gotta blow my nose. Ooh. Excuse me. All right. Ginger beer. Love ginger beer. Get you in the right spirit. So we are playing with Unify. This is part of an event I mentioned. Let me show you a website you should be aware of. Synthexpo.com is the website you can go to. And then you can scroll down, and there's a schedule of all these events going on. And it just so happens we just hit the 7:30 event, so that's right here. So if you click this, it goes to me, I believe. Oh, the stream is offline. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's not good. Hold on a second here. I guess. Stop stream. Hello, welcome to a new special edition live stream. How are you? My name is John Skippy Limcool. I own pluginguru.com. Welcome. Let's see if this gets me to working properly for what I need to have working. So go new Synth Expo. Let's see if we come down here to 7:30. Please work. Please be a live stream in action. It's not. Oh my gosh. This is not right. Stop. All right. Hello, we have liftoff. Oh, we got to make sure our tempo is right for this to work. This would be 120. All right, we're back live. Welcome. My name's John Limcool. This is a live stream on Unify. This is part of a really cool Synth Expo going on for today. I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go synth-expo.com, you can scroll down. There's a few other events. We're getting towards the end of the day. Game Changer Q&A with Motor Synth is going on. Novation Circuit is on at 7:45. Novation Peak is at 9. That's very gutsy of them. But here we are at the 7:30 hour doing our thing. So there we go. Welcome. I'm here to show you Unify and talk about that and answer any questions you guys might have. Simon, thank you so much, man. Simon did a live stream earlier. He's been doing some really cool work with getting Unify and the Discover libraries to work together. Here, I'll give you a cool teaser because I've got a lot of the library here, of course. We're looking at Unify. So Unify is a interesting playground for your plugins. It's kind of the easiest way to describe it because it starts so simple, which is just the idea of you can have a MIDI effect in this slot, and you can choose from any MIDI effects you own. It's very easy to set them up. You hit little button right here, and you can go in and scan your plugins in different formats. I suggest just using VST format. That way, when you start getting into saving patches and sending them to people, they'll be able to load them no matter whether they're using a PC or Mac. We're cross-platform. Unify includes a VST, VST3, and on the Mac, an audio unit plugin. Both PC and Mac also has standalone, which allows you to use it in a live situation where it becomes the master clock and each patch can be at a different tempo. It's great for live stuff like that, like main stage and so forth, similar. But we're cross-platform, so we're on the PC. So all of you guys on PC that have been wanting a main stage kind of solution, you can do a lot of that stuff here already, and it gets better all the time. So Unify in premise is that it when you install it, we install plugins so that it doesn't come empty, because other companies have released host plugins and then it's like, okay, you fill it up with what you want. And we don't want to do that. So I got permission from a handful of companies that make really cool plugins that you can download for free, and said, would you mind if I just include it inside of Unify, but it's in its own folder of VST plugins, separate from a customer's VST folders or effect folders and so forth. And everybody was really cool. OBXD is a really cool synth really cool for the analog stuff, and pan the oscillator so you get a little stereo imaging, and right, really cool stuff. DX is FM synthesis, so we've got basically your DX7 inside of Unify as a plugin. We have our own sampler called Guru Sampler. There's 3.5 gigabytes of samples from libraries I've created installed that are included. You have all this fun stuff to work with on the effect level for audio effects. We have our own really cool delay called Omega Delay, which has distortion and chorus, as well as up to all sorts of really cool resonant filters and so forth inside of it. Love Omega Delay. We also have other effects like our Pump House, which is like a LFO tool effect. We've got Noise Box, which lets you make your own wavetable, waveform type distortions. We have a lot of MDA, which are these really cool free plugins that you can find in the internet that are included. And then we have a handful of other effects, including there's one from Thomas Munt on the dynamics called Loudmax, which is really cool for being a limiter on the output of the effects. We put that all the time right here on the master effects. And so with the ability to have instruments, insert effects, auxiliary bus, which you can go down here and say empty auxiliary bus, and then you can load up whatever effects. You could say put a nice reverb on this. Oh, not there. From here, from our own reverbs, we have 10 reverbs, including convolution reverb. We've got some really nice, the Dragonfly Hall is really nice. Into here, bring down the dry and all the. These effects are really, really nice for out of the box for us to work with. And so using those and the samples and this premise that I can say new instrument layer, I could have up to 24 instruments in a patch. So I can start playing, and we could start simple. Let's say we start with just a pad. So we go up here to something like Violin Rains, which is a nice, it's a pad combined with rain in the sample. So it's got a lot of really rich, nice quality to it. I could go down here to the keys and say, oh, let's say maybe, like pure warm. And if I wanted to, I could go back to that pad. Where is it at? That was the... rain. So I'll type rain so I can find it. Here it is. So if I want, I can do this. I can right click and say, load that pad into a new Unify inside of this patch. And just like that, I've combined two patches. And if I wanted, I have key range. And if you right click, you could just play a note on the keyboard to change the key range. And I could say, give me a bass. So I could say bass. And I want to go to Cloud City, which is a library that I released that has all sorts of really nice subby basses and stuff like that. Let's load acoustic wannabe. Just say load new patch into Unify. And then say, I want this to start on B. Turn it down because it's really loud. And I can option click to turn it up an octave. And just like that, I have layered 3 patches into Unify. That is so cool to be able to take patches that you've created, no matter how complex they are, and be able to load them into an existing patch. So you can build up you can save your own patches so easily with your favorite patches. I could save this. We could say rainy pad, EP, and bass split. Whatever I want to call it. I'm going to put it into a folder called Skip's favorite patches that I made, but you could go down here and say new library to make a new library for a certain category you want. Go save as, and then all you do is come over here and hit save. And now it's saved into that. So I got to clear my search and go down here to the Skippy's favorite patches. And there it is, along with other stuff that I've made earlier today. So this is a Big Sky is a nice zebra patch, or actually Hive. And if I wanted, I could right click on that pad that I made with the bass split, just like that. I've loaded both. It's not really a good combination, but just to show you what you can do. And if I open up this Unify, check this out. It's Unify as a plugin with the 2 pads and the bass, just as I saved it. So we load each layer exactly as it was saved when you saved it. So the concept of being able to do all this kind of stuff is really, really fun. Discover Station is amazing. Oh, good. Yeah, Airflow is really something nice. There's something. Oh, don't worry, Shane, you're good. I was kind of messing up with starting and stopping and stuff like that. I don't know how to do it, but a VST like contact load quicker than if I loaded as standalone. Yeah. Yes, I am working in a beta version of Unify. I'm going to be showing you some features and libraries that wouldn't work if we weren't working with this version of Unify. So there's a plugin called the Discover BBC Symphony Discover Library. I'm not sure the exact. Let's see here. If I go over here to our favorites, it's right here, BBC Symphony Orchestra. This is the Discover version, I guess is the way to call it. There's 2 other versions. This is the $50 version. There's a $4.99 for the next step up, which gives you round robins and all sorts of things that you don't have here. And then there's the $999 version, which gives you it's like 30 gigabytes or so of just amazing samples. So this is a plugin that really shows what Unify can do, because in a minute I'm going to push a button and load up 5 instances of this to do all of these string patches at once. Because here I got the basses, the cellos, the violas, and you can see in this little window range there's certain notes that stop. The lowest notes on the viola are ugly. So we actually window to cut those out in our maps for when we play them all across the keyboard. You can do stuff like that. So there's also up here are all the 5 woodwinds, and all the reds are the 5 brass. And then there's percussion, including glockenspiel, timpani. I mean, the tubular bells, xylophone, all are here. So all of these sounds are available. Now this plugin only plays one of them at a time. So I have to choose, let's see, do I want to play oboes? Or something else. I can't do more than that, but Unify lets you layer to your heart's content. So if I go to the Discovery library and I say load the string ensemble, see how we've got the ability with modifier keys to change the slope of velocity fades. We can even hold down Shift and Control and then change actually like the curvature of the fades from one key range to another. So we can really get into controlling how something fades from one to another as long as there's velocity. Unfortunately, some of the patches in this library don't have velocity because a lot of stuff anymore is done where the composer is expected to be using MIDI volume instead of playing it with velocity. But luckily these guys have, I believe, nope, no velocity. So this is playing all of them at once. This is playing the basses, the violin, 1, 2, violas, cello, and basses. And so by having them all mapped across the keyboard, if I want a certain range to be louder or softer, I can control the volume here. And then I have MIDI volume. You know, so you can do the expressivity. Right? Okay, so let me take a second to digress. Let's go to the Unify Standard Library. Let me call up one of our like pizzicato strings or something like that. Yeah, cello pizzicato. So we have the ability to play with MIDI effects, and we've made some new MIDI effects that are super cool. If you say MIDI effects, empty layer up here, you can have it so that one MIDI effect can talk to multiple layers, which is something you can't do with most DAWs. So you could have one arpeggiator playing 5 different plugins. It could be Zebra and Serum together or something like that. It'd be really hard to do that in your DAW without the configuring of everything, and then to get back to it quickly to play without having to like, wait, this needs to be turned back to the input. This needs to be armed again. It's cool. It's all built in. We don't have to do that because we actually, in one of our updates, we implemented a MIDI effect right here. So I can go over here and I can say blue arp. And if I set this to chords, it's now playing, and I'm going to go to my timing and say 8th notes. If you want to change the interface, if you hit the settings button, you can get here to where you get to the color, to change the color of blue arp to one of these different sets of colors. I think only the default blue and the very bottom studio black are the only two that oh, that's kind of cool. OMG dark blue, that's nice. Newspaper. No, but dark blue's nice. I like that. That's cool. Okay, so we're at 8th notes and chords. So, right? Well, that's not all that inspiring, and it's the same velocity and all that kind of stuff. So we made a new effect that we introduced with 1.1.10 called MIDI box. What MIDI box does, let's say that we go to the Discover Station library. We have all sorts of MIDI files of all sorts of things, but I'm going to go here to my Skippy Orch patches, and I could say maybe a spiccato pattern. So now, and because MIDI box is set to transpose, if I said play only, wherever I play on the keyboard, it just plays a MIDI file like it's a sequencer. That's cool for some applications. You can have this play sequences that are 400 measures long in a live show, multiple tracks, all sorts of stuff going on that you're playing to along with it. But we want to go to key transpose, and then before 1.2, you could use polybox, and I could duplicate this to be on different MIDI channels, and it would take 8 of these to make 8 voice polyphonic MIDI files. Well, in 1.2, we've added a new technological breakthrough in that you can have a single note MIDI file. It only plays And this could be a melody. It could be whatever you want it. If it's a melody, then you get in trouble when you play different chords. So single note is better. But this is me playing the note to get the velocity and everything I want. Set it to poly transpose. And now I'm playing polyphonic MIDI files inside a MIDI box. That right there just saved us a huge amount of resources, because it used to be we needed 8 layers to play 8-voice polyphonic, and now we can do polyphonic with just 1 layer, okay? So if we take this MIDI file and this polyphonic stuff and we go over to the Discover library with all these really cool string samples and stuff like that, we can get into all sorts of crazy trouble really quickly. So let me show you some examples of that. Here's some string patches that I've made that are like just... You can do things like that. Here's another one that's fun. Okay, take that, combine that with other MIDI files for woodwinds and brass, all at the same time, and you can do stuff like this. Oh, show the keyboard. I'm just playing chords. Isn't that cool? And if you put a hip hop beat or your classical beat or whatever you want to do, let's say that I want to have percussion with this, right? So let's say, duplicate this layer. So I haven't made percussion for this yet, and I want to. So I'm going to bypass the MIDI box for right now, and I'm going to call up. Let's open up this Unify plugin and see what's going on. We only need actually one of these. So instead of Unify, I'm going to click here and change this to be the Symphony Orchestra, and then go up here to the percussion and say untuned percussion, and then have this onto its own MIDI channel for right now. So let's say MIDI channel 2, and let's have this all on MIDI channel 1, so that I don't want them to play when I'm doing the percussion stuff. So I don't want them to be set to all, or else I'll be, bass and string parts. Now I go to Logic and I have this set to, in Logic you have to do this. If you want something to be multiple MIDI channels on one channel, select this and you go to the track instrument settings, and instead of all, you set it to 1. And now there's Control and Enter that will let you create multiple MIDI channels from the same thing. So channel 2. So I'm going to sequence me playing part 1 with the strings, so then I can program percussion around it. So I need to have a click. Let me see real quickly. Are you set to oh, now we are. We weren't following a host. So let's start one more time. So okay, so now we have a little why aren't you playing back? Oh. Yeah, of course. It always does this where the first notes, Command 7. I know it's there. There's two different snares. That's cool. 2, 3. Okay, so that's the percussion. And my computer's going, hey, you're asking me to do a lot. So the snare. Okay, so this probably won't be what I keep, but I'm just doing it for fun. Ooh. Okay, so I have made a nice messy so let's Command J to join all those puppies together. Let's name it perk, orc, perk, messy, skippy. Copy that, export that as a MIDI file, change the events so it's all nice and clean. And there it is as a MIDI file. So now I can delete. Actually, I might keep it. Let me just mute it and then go back to Unify. And we don't need the sequencer anymore. At some point, we actually have plans to put it so that you can actually sequence inside of Unify, so you won't need a DAW at all. But we're just not there yet. That takes a lot of additional development and so forth. So I can set these guys back to all, because I want them all to be playing and listening on their own things. It doesn't need to be specified to MIDI channels anymore. Turn on MIDI box. Maybe let's do this. Let's go to Unify, to the Discover Station library, and I'll put this into it's a good idea to get in the habit of saving MIDI files where you're going to save it, because it remembers the exact location that you put it. And so let's see here. Okay, so copy this name, new folder, paste, Skippy Orc. Let's say Skippy pattern, so we keep it all consistent. So we put this into that folder. I go to MIDI box and I say we're in that area. So we say click here, get to MIDI files, and we should see, hello, percussion pattern. And there it is. So select that to load it. And let's see, what did I do wrong? Let's solo this just to see if it plays. Yeah. So it's there. Oh. Why is it doing that? Oh, because it's set to transpose. We don't want it to transpose. We just want it to play the groove the way it is. So play only. No more transposing for you. And then so I've added percussion to this, just like that. Made a MIDI file, loaded it in. There's some other examples of things that we've done. I'm working with a composer friend of mine that's probably one of the smartest composers I know. He's worked with Harry Gregson Williams on some of the scores that Harry has done. Smart. He's done the music for the Golden Globes for like 25 years or so. He's a wonderful person. His name's Jeff Stradling. And he did these. There's things that sound like John Williams. So all sorts of things, taking this single plugin and using it in all sorts of crazy ways. Another thing that's cool is we have a thing called combo box being brought out with Unify 1.2 that has MIDI filters that are now able to be a little bit more elaborate as far as the key range and transpose. So we're using this a lot to transpose a MIDI file. So when you play in a certain range, it's actually transposing it up an octave or 2 octaves. So that when you're playing down here, you don't have the low register of the violins, which sounds like crap. It's playing the right register of the instruments, no matter where you play on the keyboard. So smart things like that are able to be done thanks to what Combo Box is doing for us to try to keep things playing in the right range. Jeff is just crazy smart with all that stuff. We have other things that are kind of fun. These are called string elements. I'll show you this really quick. This is fun. Let me get to the keyboard so you can see what I'm playing. I'm playing a single note. Let's slow it down. Play the next C, the next octave up, and you get this. So you can do things like that. The percussion are doing things where each of the octaves the harps and Celeste is doing all these beautiful runs and isn't that pretty? You know, so really, really cool, fun, different ways of thinking of things. And then on top of this, we're just doing a lot of cool splits like you'd find in the Korg workstations or stuff like that. I have some brass ones that are really cool. BPM, that's brass. Copeland's fanfare is kind of like trombones and horns and timpanis. Let me turn off my microphone so you don't hear. So you can do things like that, which is kind of fun. Notice this is using 2 layers of DX, the DX plugin for the, that's FM. Which if you combine with the brass, take them out, you really miss them. Because there's no attack on this brass ensemble. Because their sforzandos are really hard, and so I wanted to have something in between. So combining FM with samples. And we have all sorts of things of, here's the staccadissimos. We also have a whole other thing called horror, which is similar to those elements, but it's more like a cues. Get you into the scary kind of mood. Here's noir, which is cute for the... Sally, would you go on a walk with me tomorrow? I want to show you the farm. Oh, William, that's so sweet of you. So you could use these for temps. I think taking these and putting distortion and making them a funky little loop to put with the drums would be fun. Here's like harp and FM Rhodes. So we'll have things like this, Celestin harp. So there'll be a whole bunch of playable things. The orchestra and the strings and all that kind of stuff are really cool. It's cool to play all of the strings at the same time. You can really... And then the bigger versions of the BBC library, instead of there being just a single sample, there's round robins, there's more samples, so it sounds even more realistic. But still, it's really great. And for the fact that it's from a $49 orchestral plugin to do all of this, plus Unify, is really exciting. But this really is kind of the epitome of why Unify exists. Taking a single plugin that has so much potential, but it's doesn't have anything except one layer. So with Unify, there's even some things here, like if I get to the BBC strings, there's one that I did called Renegade, where it can be just fairly simple orchestra, but this is 4 MIDI files, one for bass, one for cello, one for violas, and one for violins, so that I'm more the Hans Zimmer. I'm not, Jeff's doing it so all the strings are playing the right things if they was to be written for composers to like orchestrate. I'm just MIDI files playing everywhere. So we'll have 2 different versions of how these can be used. But this is one where using the MIDI box, we have a really cool parameter in MIDI box where you can choose the ratio of playback. And you can set it to double speed, 3 times speed, 4 times speed, up to 16 times speeds. Which is crazy. It does some really cool things. And as a result of that, with this, it ends up where sometimes it's normal. That's normal. Now here's phonetic, where I've set those ratios to be more than 1 to 1 for a lot of things. I mean, it's like it's like riding with horses. I imagine like somebody with like 5 horses they're trying to hang on to and ride. So fun. To me, that's the modern power chord, man. It's so fun. So that's what we're working on to come out when Unify 1.2 and beta is released later this month. This library can't come out until 1.2 is out because it's using all of these features that we're showing. But it's really exciting. Hope you guys are excited by that kind of stuff that's going on. Have to run. Okay, Simon, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Be well, my friend. Okay, let's go back to the standard library. When you get Unify and you install it, it installs 505 patches that go all over the place, from just splits and basses and pianos and pads. There's drum kits. Okay. Plush Toys is a split where right? There's bells, there's all sorts of things here to play with. Drums, BPM, anything with BPM in the name means that there's tempo to it that's going to automatically take off in some way or another, whether it's like, if it's a clap, that means nothing until 2 and 4. And then you go down to something else like this and you say right click, load this into Unify. I should speed up my tempo because that's a little slow. Let's go over here to something that says RX2. So you have all sorts of groove elements to work with. Right now they're transposing across the keyboard. So when I play different keys, we have a really cool connection that we made between Midi box, and see where it says note course? We can go to the Guru sampler and transpose this course tune. Because for some grooves it's cool. Doing that for fills is fun. We have real-time macro knobs right here, which are set for speed, velocity. We can do things like the pitch. That adds effects and stuff, so you can play with these knobs. Record it in as automation, and your drums are now going to be changing and doing interesting things over time. If we keep going down the list, we have all sorts of BPM pads and BPM keys. These are things like this where you play chords. This is one of the more basic ones, but go to piano 2. Ping pong pianos. And here's where we're using blue arps to play chords and do different things to the parts. And they're tempo synced. So if I go to the kick and I say load this, but this time I say no pitch. So it doesn't do that pitch changing. I just want the kick to stay where it is. Okay, what's going on? Follow host. Interesting. We got a little. This patch has something with long release, I guess. We can look at that. But we have other patches that go into the BPM pads. all sorts of things to work with that have nice stuff like this. If you go to the keyboard stuff or the guitars, there's environmental sound effects, guitars, effects, anywhere from now the 12 string, I think I should have put Mega Magic. This has the reverb in the samples. But what's fun with Unify is that we give you access to your whole world of plugins, plus all these patches. So if you hit the little plugin button right here, you can go over here and you can say, scan for newer, updated, and add VST plugins or audio unit plugins or VST3 format. I suggest using VST just because that's what we use for all of our libraries so that the patches are compatible between PC and Mac. If you save them using VST plugins, then they load without any conversions or any extra work between both PC and Mac, which is a wonderful thing. And you can say plus to add more folders if you're on a PC and you have plugins in different folders, you have access. You can even say scan, say go ahead and start, and it will do this in the background while I'm running. And yeah, so I've been running all day doing live streams, so my computer's being a little sluggish, but it will do this and I can be playing. Now I've already scanned my plugins, so it's just going to go quickly through. It takes a little while to scan all of your plugins if you have a lot of plugins, so be aware of that. I want to make sure that you guys realize it can take a little time because it needs to check each one, but it's a separate program, so it doesn't affect what you do inside of Unify, which is really nice. So let me show you what's kind of fun now is that because I have scanned my plugins, I could say, give me a new empty layer, and I have another green layer, and I could say, I want to go to my favorites. Let's say that we want to load ample guitar. This is really cool. So now I've loaded, and this is a free download from Ample, amplesound.com. Let me see, what is it? Ample free downloads plugin. Download at amplesound.net, and they have this guitar, which is great, as well as the P bass, which is great, that you can download for free from these different places. Also, the Cloud Drum is another one that's really free, that's really, really cool. So if we go over here to our favorites, I think Cloud Drum is right here. So you could say slow that. And now you have kind of ringy. I mean, for general purpose uses, the guitar is super useful. Take this up an octave. And then we could keep adding to this. We could say, give me another empty layer. Let's see, another favorite synthesizer has to be Omnisphere. And I have 40 libraries for Omnisphere. Many of those libraries have been saved in Unify format. I'll show you what that means. So if I go over here, if I navigate, take the time it takes to find, let's say Omniverse 2, and let's find like some sort of a nice BPM pad, and say time is pulsing away. So now I have, let's write a song right there. So that it takes a while to get into Omnisphere, navigate through its interface. If I want, I actually have that was one of the libraries that's been converted. So we go Omniverse 2, BPM synth. That was times BPM, time is pulsing away. So I can hold down Option and say, no, I don't want that one. I want to try the Beauty and Death, and just say load that, and boom, nice. Right? That ain't right. No, we don't want that. Let's go Poppy Sizzler. So add that. That's very loud. Let's take it up an octave by holding down Option. The octave that you choose is important because you want things. If you're playing chords, and if this is down an octave and this is down an octave, check out the difference. It's a lot more muddy. It's not, I mean, you can do it either way you want. And if I was to go over to something like Cloud City, or even the standard library has a whole bunch of different BPM drums. So we could go over here, say Jakarta Groove, add this. Right? So just by loading up grooves and the various sounds from various plugins, it's super easy to get into all sorts of sonic adventures super quickly. It's part of the coolest thing with this is that your creative juices are free to flow with all these plugins that you own. If you don't know, you should get yourself a little bit of Supermassive from Valhalla. This really isn't a good example to show it, but I just want to point out there's a couple free plugins you guys got to check out. Ample for the Ample Sound, is it amplesound.net? Where did I go? I want to read all the discussions that's going on. So if we wanted to take this into some other territory, let's transpose everything keyboard and sound-wise, the two guitars and the synth down an octave, and then cut their range, go down to C. And let's say that the drum groove is only gonna be, let's see, let's go like here to C. And then have the drum groove, excuse me, only be this range. So, oh, I see what's going on. Gotta close my window there. And then I need to find a bass. So let's go up here to like maybe Omnipulse, are these libraries that have tons of nothing but rhythmic patches for Omnisphere. So let's go to Omnipulse and call up some sort of a cool earthy bassy kind of thing. See what this. It's a shuffle thing. Well, we could maybe fix that. Let's go to Unify. This is a cool trick. Say copy this layer and then paste it to replace the Unify layer, and it will replace the Unify layer back with Omnisphere with that patch. Let's do this. Let's sync these guys up and there. So what I did is I did an edit. Let's do it again. So let's say, go to this patch. This is Omnipulse 2, I believe, or Omnipulse 1. So I called up this patch, which had a different feel than I want. I could try to work with that, but so go to the ARP, and it has a swing setting at 0.445, which is a fairly strong. Bring that to 0. And now the bass is taking up too much space since it's playing busy with this specific thing. So I could turn on these little chains, which means that those A and B layers are linked. And then go to the amp, and I want the release to be shorter. And then I'm going to bring down sustain and decay. So it's just a snap. And then after it goes through that snap, I'm going to let it rest. Okay. Now to have fun, let's see. Yeah. So B's the woody guy. He's got all that kind of wood stuff. Let's go modulating this with random just for fun. So he's around, he's poking his head up every now and then. And then I want this sound to stop at B so that I can have a bass line and let's get money tight in here. So you can keep building, and it just becomes very addicting to be able to think of your synthesizers as oscillators for building a bigger composite sound than just one patch by itself. So it gets really fun. There's a lot of really basic, simple patches in the Unify library that you can use to play with. So you can start with, maybe not the distorted Rhodes, but if we go to key, I think I put it flat. Well, the whirly's nice. So all that kind of stuff. Let's combine that with the Mega Magic piano. And we immediately change the vibe. Maybe we don't want the whirlies, so you could option click to say, no, I want to go with like this dreamy Rhodes instead. And then here's a cool trick. We have layer presets, which is a quick way to get loaded a preset from these different libraries that I've saved out. So if you go DX, there's 3 different keyboard banks, which actually loads up DX. And if you open DX and go to the cart, there's 32 different keyboard patches that I've put in here. So kind of like that for. Let's turn everybody down just a little bit. And then we want another one like choose Hydra Rhodes. And you don't have to think about how many layers it is, how many do you have left. It just loads it as a new plugin. Even though it's 3 patches and 2 auxiliary buses, it's there. So it's very easy to build to find exactly what you need for your track so that it works right. Let's go down here to pads. You can really easily find something like pad worthy. Right click, say load into Unify. Hold down option and you can transpose by an octave at a time that way. Okay, so I'm just playing simple keyboard parts. Right? So good stuff, fun stuff. That's Unify. It is always on sale for $79. It comes with 505 patches and the ability to load all the plugins that you own in VST, VST3, and audio unit format, and then you can play with them in all sorts of fun ways. If we were to say init, let's go to Zebra as a favorite synth and find a patch. We'll go to the Toxic Zebra library and say, that's fun. Go to another instrument, empty layer. I like Spire a lot too. So let's go over here. We have a library for Spire. We can choose all sorts of cool pads down here. And then I want to go looking through the libraries of patches from all these different libraries we have. Let's go to Omniverse 3. I have some really cool BPM well, these are all BPM patches, but we could say Moonlight Fairies, load that. So here's an Omnisphere patch added. Maybe take it down an octave. So you can make the sound that's got, this could be just used for some rhythmic part in a track, right? But there's a lot more going on here than just the simple sound. And what's fun is because we are multi-core, we're being pretty efficient. Spire's kind of expensive, Zebra's kind of expensive, Omnisphere's kind of expensive. So these are more expensive commercial synths. So you can run it off power, there's no doubt. That's a great sound. Cool. So I just sit all day long when I'm playing with this, just starting up and changing to different patches and so forth. And it's very inspiring and ties you to what's happening with the sound as it morphs. If anybody has questions, you can ask them in the chat that's going on. You can also ask them just by writing us at unifysupport@pluginguru.com. Underneath the video is a link to the website if you want to get more information on Unify or to buy Unify. Yeah. Any questions? I'm happy to answer questions. I can just keep like jamming around and stuff like that, but I want to make sure I help you guys out. Make sure you also, well, I showed you guys already that.
And live sets. So I guess
yeah. So what do we got question-wise coming up? Any? How do I load Omnisphere? Okay, so good question. for a lot of you guys just getting into this, you've installed Unify, either the full version of Unify or the demo version of Unify, and you want to do that first step of getting some of your plugins into Unify to play with, right? So let me show you what you do. Let's make sure this is nice and simple interface, not too big, everything's on the window. All you have to do is down here is a little plugin button, and you can hit Operations in the bottom left corner and choose the Select Plugin Files to Scan. And then you need to navigate to your plugins folder on the Mac. That is found in Library Audio Plugins. On the PC, it's more complicated because you can have them in a number of different locations. So do a little like, where do I find the default location? If you don't know, you can run Omnisphere from a DAW. Check this out. If you go over here and just say, I can load Omnisphere since it's installed here now. There's a place where you can click to know where your location is. Click the Spectrasonics little icon and then click Diagnostics. And by clicking this, it'll do a count of all the patches that are currently inside of Omnisphere, the samples, the size of the, we're at 60 gigabytes, holy cow. And your Steam folder is at this location. So that tells you the location that you need to go to do what I'm going to show you to do. So actually, no, that might not be the case because the Steam folder might not be the plugin folder. It's a little confusing in that the plugin and then the files and stuff that the plugin needs doesn't have to be in the plugin folder, right? So if I go over here and I say Files to Scan, I'm going to go to the VST folder, and then I just go OMN, and there's Omnisphere, and you just say Open. And just by doing that, it will scan the plugin. You can close, go over here to this little bullet and say Swap All Instruments. And because you're saying all instruments, it will show you all the instruments that Unify knows about. Not all the instruments on your hard drive, because if you just scan Omnisphere, then that's the only one that shows up. And you should find a folder that says Spectrasonics and Omnisphere. And by doing that, you can now load Omnisphere. Boop, there it is. Then you can go to the patches this way. If you own any Plugin Guru patch libraries that have been saved out in the Unify format, we make it a little bit more direct for you to just go like this and say, I'm going to play with this patch, and now that patch is in. And what's fun from here is now I can say, I want to go Pop P Sizzler and load that into Unify. I want to go BPM Guitar and load that into Unify. And I've created this from 3 patches. So you can get into trouble really easily, but that's the way that you scan plugins. There's another way you can do it also. If you know where your plugin folder is located on your desktop of your computer, you can actually go to the known plugin page. So it looks like this. Stop that. And then go down here to Omnisphere or whatever it is that you want to load. Let's say Omnisphere again, right? So here it is, omnisphere.vst. On the PC, it's omnisphere.dll for the VST version. Drag it over, and just like that, you've scanned it. So now it works. So you can do that at any time to load a plugin directly into Unify to test out, make sure it works and all that. It's very straightforward. And once you've done that, once it knows where that plugin is, then it knows for as long as you've got that set up until you go in and erase the database or something like that. So you can go to, now when you get to favorites, that's an area where you can, if you have certain plugins that I don't have, they're not going to show up in the favorites preset because I just saved my plugins into the favorites and so forth. So you could say by typing here, say you have something TR, we've got a lot of things TR, my gosh. But if you find the TR-808, you could say add that to selected, and then it's added to your favorites. Or else if it's something you don't want, you can select it and say remove selected if some of my favorites are not your favorites. And then just hit save to update. And you can make, I really love the one for audio effects, because there we made a folder called effect type, and there's compressors, delays, reverbs. And again, this is just based on what's on my computer. For you to fully spec this out for your computer, you might have different reverbs than I do. So you'd want to go down your list and go, oh, you don't have this in the list, add selected, save, so that you can make your own favorites. Because this way I can play with this. Maybe I want to put a cool reverb on this, right? So I could go to all effect types, to reverb, and it will list all the reverbs that I have. So I could go, I want to play with Tor reverb. There it is. Right? So you can add whatever effects that you have. It's fun to have access to seeing them. Notice we have bypass and we have a MIDI bypass as well, because we send MIDI data from the notes played into insert effects, and there's certain reverbs. There's one reverb from Infected Mushroom that it actually changes the pitch of the reverb. This will allow us to bypass that, which is pretty cool. So that's a feature coming in 1.2 that's currently not inside of the version of Unify that you have. You don't need the Steam folder for this. Correct. You just got to know where your plugins are located is the key for that kind of stuff, right? Oh, Comet Reverb by Polyverse. Okay, yes, I am getting tired. This is like hour 5 of live streaming today for me, so kind of a marathon thing. But I just want to make sure I answer any questions you guys might have. So, how do you see yourself? Let's add another bell. And then I want a MIDI file to control both of these. So we'll say add a MIDI effect of a MIDI box, MIDI file player. You click right here on the MIDI in to connect both of these layers to the same MIDI box. Let's choose from the Unify standard library. And let's go over here and choose some sort of a chord file. And thanks to this new updated ability in Unify for MIDI box, before this, if I played chords, it didn't do anything. And then you'd have to use Polybox to get the polyphony thing to happen. Well, Shane came up with a really cool poly transpose option. By doing that, now anything like this, where it's nice and plucky and it's playing like that and it sounds so perfect, put a jitterbox on this, give it like 50, 40 milliseconds of random timing. What happens now is every note that comes in is given a random amount of timing delay before it's allowed to play. Here it's got just a nice little bit of human motion. Here's without it. And if you just want to delay it with no random, you can do that. Or you can randomize it. It sounds so much better like that than so now you can get your plucks. Because that sounds more natural to us, because when you're strumming like this, you're not hitting all the strings at the same time. It's physically impossible. I want to be an expert by Christmas and like to speak to you directly about buying a custom stack of your plugs. Okay, well, you need to contact me, please. Just Unify. Oh, okay, Hollywood. You can also contact me at unifysupport@plugandguru.com. Happy to help, my friend. I can't guarantee by Christmas that you're going to be where I am. I've been at this since the 80s, so. But at least you'll have keys to the car, know how to drive it. You can learn that just from my YouTube stream. I have 300 plus videos here that you're welcome to watch and learn from. Helpful stuff there. But yeah, I think I'm getting tired. So let's go up here and say BPM. Chord dance and load this. We need drums. Let's go to the kicks. And I want to have a clap. So let's go up here to claps. And I need a hi-hat 16th notes. And then I need a hi-hat 8th notes, and also load that into Unify, and then pan them left and right. So we've got a little bit of fun. Then I need a cool drum kit groove. So we go to Cloud City. This is where all the cutting edge drum grooves are. I could go up here and say No Easy Street and watch this. I'm going to move this to the top. Hold down Option and click Init, and boom, everything's gone. But the drum groove. So I can build something new. And so let's go to Cloud City by itself. This is a really, really cool library. Steel tongue drums. And I'm going to have these guys down here on just C. So anywhere else I play on the keyboard, oh wait, doesn't play. And I'm going to set these to Midi mono latch. And by doing this, I now have a groove. Make sure my clock is set to manual so it doesn't re-trigger. Now I got a groove. And I can search anywhere else on this library or anywhere in Unify to put together sounds to play across the keyboard. Crazy, huh? Maybe I don't want to go there. So I could say, nah, go up here to get the sub basses. Now what I could do, if I wanted to not have that kick playing that big tone that takes so much frequency, go to Flex EQ. This is the low pass shelf. Not a low pass, just a low shelf. And say just still there. But now it's not in the way. If you wanted to, you could actually get more aggressive and just use our filters. We've got a really sweet flex. It's called the Filter Max. It's able to be up to 48 dB of all these different filter types. It's pretty insane. High pass. Now you don't hear the low end at all. The other way to do this, actually, check this out. We have the ability to go to the MIDI file itself. We have key range right here. So I could say, that gets rid of everything. Hi-hats. So we're above, we've filtered out the note below G sharp 2, that's the sub. So it doesn't play. So now I don't have to filter at all. So that way, yeah. So I can set this to be key ranged. I need to find something for the right hand. That's just one of the steel drums, the steel tongue drums. Say load into a new Unify layer. Let's say I want to have a pad with this bass. So let's go to the library. Let's go to the pads. Maybe one of these wood flutes would be cool. Maybe I wanted to play quicker. It's kind of slow to start, right? You can go to the Guru sampler. And let's say duplicate this. And let's transpose it up +7. So we've got a chord. But I want this to be delayed some. So let's go to the delay, omega delay, 100%. We want it to be delayed like a quarter note. And maybe an eighth note for the other side. Now, this tongue drum, I like the frequencies of it. I don't like that it's got as much pitch. So I'm gonna go EQ, just like the high pass filter got rid of the sub. If I wanted to do that, I can use a high pass. to get rid of the tonality so it's just the hands. And maybe put a little delay on this too. So go omega delay. And then we have filtering over here. That's cool. Now I can play the chords and stuff. And that tongue drum now is just a rhythmic element without so much pitch, so I don't care what key it is. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, we're live. So you can have so much fun. Pads can be used for basses. You can do all sorts of things you want to do to go for different kinds of sounds. Let's move the sample start later. And let's replace the M verb with water verb. Has more motion and cool stuff in it. So let's say water verb. I'm playing with the drum groove and bass from Cloud City. That tongue drum groove is also Cloud City. And then factory patches for the right hand. Although the steel tongue drum is being used for that mallet part. I love that library. It came out so cool. I'm going to add percussion. Let's go over here and say add an empty instrument. I want to go... Actually, no. I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to add another Unify layer. So we go up here to Cloud City, BPM perk, and the World Percussion Kit. And I want to assign this. I'm going to actually click and drag to put this up here by the other elements that are also set to mono latch. Now, I have a couple choices. I can go here to the Midi box. Let's half time it. That's better. Now, also the low end of this. Too much, so we can go over here. We could try the Flex EQ again. There. Let's get everybody starting together. Let's save this. It's cool. And if we want to trick it out a little more, go a little more towards Canada, we'd go to this flute part. Let's go to modulation. Let's add some sort of cool chorus. a little too strong, a little bit too detuny. Cool, huh? For some reason, this guy he's on mono latch. He's working right. Okay, so save. I'm gonna make this available for you guys to freely download if you want. Let's put this into the user library. BPM split. Live stream, Canadian road trip. Okay, BPM split. Fun patch made during special live stream on Sunday, October. Is this the 4th or 5th? 4th. So we go save as, and if you own Cloud City, and if you own the full version of Unify, I'm going to put this to the Dropbox so you can download it in just a second. So we go Unify, user library, patches, and all you have to do to get this to work is go to here. Go to your Unify folder. Mine is in users shared, plugin guru, Unify. Go to libraries and then down to user library. That's where you'll put this into the patches folder. Right here, we're gonna say compress. Get my Dropbox up. I have a place where I put all sorts of freebies. So let's go over here to freebies. Put this right here. And here, I'll put it into the chat. Copy link. And now if we go over here to the live stream and I say paste, there. I have to go watch the rest of the Break Tweaker so I know how to find the unified version of OMG drums. Oh, we haven't released that yet. Those are the Break Tweaker unified libraries. One of my customers did these. We haven't made them public yet. We're almost done, probably in the next week. They're not saved with tempo, and I want each one so that each patch is saved with tempo. So these don't exist for Unify yet. One of my customers took all 3 of my Break Tweaker libraries and saved them all in Unify format, which is super awesome. So you can call up one of these guys and it will play. Right? All the different, there's so many grooves. So it's following the tempo of my sequencer. It's supposed to be 145. So we do that option, save. Now it has tempo information so that it knows that the tempo is saved at 145. So I have to go through and do that for every one of these patches. So Taylor, my assistant, and I will be doing that so that they all work nicely. But what's fun with this, you can do that thing where you transpose this down an octave. Just go, say, plus 12. And set it to be mono latch and turn it on. That's right, it doesn't work. Shane, we have to look at this to get this to work if we can. I have it to emulate. But latch, when you take your hand off, even with latch, it doesn't work for Break Tweaker. So for some reason, we have to figure out what's going on there. You have to keep your hand on it. But it'd be cool to get it so you could play these as grooves and just change the preset and still have it as a groove you could jam too. So that's something. Yeah. Be sure to buy Brake Tweaker for $9. Yeah. It's still available, I believe, at Plugin Boutique. New tab, Plugin Boutique. Nope. It's over. It's too late if you haven't bought it. Last week this was $9, and now Brake Tweaker Expanded is $249. So the that I don't know if that was a mistake or what, but it was there, and lots of people bought it for $9. I happen to know a couple that did. I think the sale ended October 1st. Yeah, so it's back to $249. That was a pretty hard to believe that it was on sale. So, all right. So I have been, let's see, 4:36. So we got 30 minutes left. I'm going to stop at 6:30, which is 9:30 East Coast time. So it's the end of the sale, the presentation. It's been a nice day. We've got some new happy Plugin Guru Unify customers. That's awesome. If any of you guys have questions, ask here in the chat. If it's after the chat, you can email us at unifysupport@pluginguru.com. We would love to talk to you and share why Unify is a must own by everybody, we think. So please check that out if you want. Okay. Let me do the spiel from the top. This is Unify. It's a very cool software instrument and utility plugin all in one. What's cool with it is that it has 505 patches when you install it that will surprise you with the scope and the range and the types of patches and what is done. Then you go through and you realize that all you have to do is right click on any other patch and you can load that patch into Unify to just a new layer. And it can actually be seamless. If I go up here to keys and I want to add a piano, maybe the cinematic would be really nice with this because it's kind of nice vibe. I can say load, no clicks, no glitching. And then you can hold down Option to turn down all the volumes and then double click to pop the piano back up. And then if I wanted to, I could scan all my plugins, which I have. That's done right here with the little plugin page. And yeah, it shouldn't be glowing red when you come here, but it is for some reason. And say scan your VST plugins, or just use this file to load just a single or a couple of plugins at a time to scan. By doing that, you can get to where you have access to all of the plugins that you have on your hard drive. It's very liberating to be able to go, I just want to add Contact to this that I'm playing with, right? Now let's have it load Noir. And let's have it be the pure, not the felt. I need a little bit more attack. Go down here to some of the sound design patches. That's using a little CPU power there for that. So say, writing on the hammers. There. So I've got Nor. And I've got piano and bells all loaded. So making new sounds is so much more fun when all of your plugins are available on call at any moment to be brought into action. We have hundreds of, actually we're up to like 100 and some reviews from people that are all 5 stars. It's really wonderful. It makes us feel really happy that we have our Unify baby here to work with. It's just wonderful for making cool, fun sounds. The factory library has a lot of cool stuff in it. Before you even start looking at plugins, make sure you play things like these latch splits. This is one where up high, if you read the text, it says, Dreamy and piano request on the keyboard. High C brings in rain on a latch note. Play one time to turn the rain on, again to turn it off. So you play up here on high. Here, let's get this going like this. And we got the camera view from here, I believe. So I play high C. And here's my rain. Then I have on these page here, I thought I used to have, something happened. Huh. Oh, well, I loaded this into, no? Maybe it's something I did, yeah, anyway. So then the rest of the keyboard besides high C is a piano. And it's kind of a special piano because we're using Klang Falter, which is a convolution reverb. And we have it playing me scrubbing up a plastic bag. If you want to hear that, check this out. Oh, you might not be able to hear it. I don't know if it's routed to audio. But it sounds like you're just scrunching up a plastic bag. And when you put it on the piano, let's see, let's go over here, solo. It's really cool. So it's not just delay, it's something kind of cooler than that. Very fun. There's other ones like Meaning of Life, where the latch is actually playing 6 different parts that are tuned to different pitches to make a really beautiful chord. And because it's set to mono latch, when I play a new note, it cancels the previous note. And then I have 3 sounds for the right hand. Isn't that cool? And then the meaning of death is, of course, has to be minor and dark and you'll never leave. There's other ones like the Never Solution, where it's a pad in the left hand, and then the right hand. And if I wanted, I could go right here, option delete the right hand parts, so they're gone. There's no sound up here. So then I could go back to Unify. I could go to a different library that I've got. Let's say something like Colors for Keyscape. We have some kind of cool, some really cool chill pianos here. So we could say oceanfront delay. Yeah. Now. So let's go find something else to go combining with this. Maybe something from the Massive Power Pack, because that's a really cool, nice sounding instrument. The pad, load that. Should be really quiet. But I need to tell it to stop on C because I don't want it to go all the way down the keyboards. So. Not the right kind of pad, right? So we can go to massive. This is one of those where I programmed all the knobs. And then hold down Option and drag down so it goes down one octave. And then if I wanted, I could go to macro knob 2. Let's see what we have access to inside of here. We could say, oh, we got the macro knob showing up. Let's say macro knob 2. And then we go into this Unify and we go to knob 2. And let's say go to the instrument, massive, and we have access to all of these different controls. Filter cutoff is master. Your filter crossfade bypass gain. Well, the other way to do this, I believe, I'm not sure how I'd get access to it. Because you have this control right here called byte, and it's set to MIDI CC20. So if I told this knob to be MIDI CC20, right? And then this macro knob is controlling that knob. I thought. Let's say 20. That'd be the fastest way to do it. So you can do stuff like that all day long. Just remember that if you set a mod CC to that, then it's that way for all patches. So I probably want to keep this at 2 because that's how my hardware controls are set up for working with stuff like that. But you see what you can do. It's really fun to combine all of your various synthesizers and libraries. This is kind of insane because we've got so many libraries that have been converted to Unify format. So let me clean that up a little bit because that looks just kind of, it's very overwhelming to look at and go like, oh my goodness. Yeah, we have just a few libraries available. So go Unify libraries. Buy to those up here. And it'll scan real quick and we're good. You guys have any questions? Thanks to all the Unify team, technical expertise and all. Oh, good. Glad to see it. Yeah, splits are fun because you can set up different sounds that normally you need to play in multiple passes with your sequencer. So it's fun to have the bass and the synth parts to try in real time. Get the idea of what you want it to do when you're writing it, instead of having to like sequence the bass by itself and then try to sequence the synthesizer part by itself. Get them both so you can play them and have fun with them, you know? So we're showing Unify. I just, as you can see, minimized the number of libraries that show up because it was just like a little overwhelming to go, oh my gosh, look at all these things available. When Unify is installed, there's two folders. There's the user library and then the user Unify standard library. All these others are additionals that are added for various things. We have unified a number of synthesizers that are commercial, paid for the most part. One exception is Pendulate. Pendulate is a really cool free synthesizer you can download. Let's see, if we go PNDU and we go here to Eventide Audio, they have, it's available for download right here. Or you can go to plugins and find it here as well. And it's basically a simple small brother to a bigger one that they have called, what's the, well, if you call up Pendulate and look at it, it's going to say upgrade. Checks the net, it says upgrade. That's to get to generate. So Pendulate is the little brother to Generate, which has more different types of generators, more types of wave folders instead of one. So Pendulate kind of has like a signature kind of sound to it when you're playing these patches. These are BPMs. It's not your normal, right? But these are the factory patches, all saved in Unify format. So if I wanted to, I could just say boom, 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 and I've loaded 3 Pendulate patches. Wow, that's a big sound. And so it has all the factory patches saved, so you can quickly load them, select, and have loud chatter. Right? It's a little funky, but at the end are some really luscious, beautiful patches that I made for pads and plucks where it's polyphonic, because we have a really cool tool inside of Unify called Polybox. And we have a cool trick system where we can send different notes to different MIDI channels so that a monophonic sound is polyphonic. And we're working on making a unified version of the DCO 106 library. And I can show you, for example, that we can take let's say we get fast attack. Go to unison mode. Like, this would sound pretty sweet playing chords, don't you think? I think so. So all you have to do, go to Layer, MIDI Effects, and we actually have a preset down here for Polybox 8 layers. That means 8 voice polyphony. And here's what you need to do to set this up. Number 1, make sure your layer 1 is set to MIDI channel 1. Not all, because by default, for the most part, it's all. And then where it says in, click and change that to where it says Polybox 8 layers. That's step 2. Third step, go over here to this bullet and say duplicate that 7 times. So this sound, oh, I have Polybox on, and so what happens is it only plays one note every 8 times. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because each note is being sent to a different MIDI channel. By saying dupe next MIDI channel, each one of these, it makes 7 copies. Each one is plus 1 MIDI channel from whatever number, the one that you selected. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means when I play, see, it's just cycling. Play chords. It's really, really cool. You can also make it more interesting by just playing with pan, since it's so mono when it doesn't have a stereo width, unfortunately, for when you put it into polyphonic mode or to unison mode. It's just right there in mono. So now with a little panning, so we've made, in fact, I kind of like this. I'd make it a little bit less sizzly. So check this out. We have some shortcuts to get you back to being able to fix and edit something and then get back to being polyphonic really quickly. 2 steps. You hit the B button for bypassing polybox. Then you hold down Option and you click Init, or Alt on the PC and click Init. And what that tells Unify is don't give me a complete init patch. Keep everything MIDI effect wise, auxiliary bus, master effects the same. Get rid of every layer of Unify except for the first. Don't touch the first. So this is that sound. So I'm going to go over here and say, I don't want it to be quite so much like that. I actually want it to be a little bit brighter, so I might actually, instead of the pump house, I'd go over here, maybe put a little EQ, the flex EQ. Maybe a little more focused low end. And then a little bit less reverb. Six voices epiphany is cool. Okay, so now all you have to do to get back to being polyphonic again is turn off the bypass of polybox and go back here and say, do your thing, make 7 more again. And now we're back to being slightly edited, so it's not less, it's less reverby and except I'm going to hold down Option, click Init. I'm going to copy this effect setting. So we say Operations, copy, and then get rid of it. Option and click that. Now we can go over here and say make 7 more. Because I'm going to send this to an auxiliary bus, I think, because that way I can just use 1 EQ effect instead of 8 if I really wanted to. Or I could just go to the master flex EQ. There. A lot more efficient. So let's save this to this library because I'm building this as we speak. So this is going to be Z pad torpedo unison saws. It's huge. Pad, that's good for that. That save as save. And the Z patches end up at the end. They're custom patches that I made. The other ones that just say pad or bass are factory patches. If you don't know about this plugin, it's pretty sweet. It's available at cherryaudio.com and it's $25. Brand new, just came out. It's a $39 retail, I think, for this. So this is a pretty sweet thing. Really great. Cherryaudio.com for the DCO 106. I should also point out At the plugandgroove.com website, we have a sale going on Percussa, which is a library that I did a couple years ago for Omnisphere. It's been now saved out for Unify format, and it opens up some really fun doors because now it's really easy to layer and stack these things. Let's see, is it here? Nope, got to get it back. So we go down here, say, oh, we're at the end of our show anyhow. But anyway, it's available for $25. So if you need cool cinematic percussion for Omnisphere and you'd like to have it available in Unify as well, it's a library that's $49. It's on sale for $25 for the coming week. So there's nothing posted on my website right now about that sale, but I will have something up shortly. I've been doing live streams all day. But yeah, it's a great library. Unify is always $79, always on sale, available for you guys to pick up that way anytime. We don't discount it. We don't put it on sale. It's $79 is the fair price and the only price it will be, okay, for that. So, thank you guys for hanging out. I didn't expect to have this many people hanging out. Thank you for joining. I'm going to call it a day. It's been great to have an opportunity to sit and talk the whole day about Unify and get lots of you guys to be aware of it and check out all the cool things it can do. So I'm going to say thanks for watching and shout out from PDX. And be well. We'll have our normal regularly scheduled live stream on Saturday. You have till Wednesday. Don't forget till Wednesday to make scary samples and get them to me if you want them to be included in the Uniscare library that the Guru Nation is building. That's in the works. Oh, cool. Waterloo, Ontario. D&G. That's up there close to Shane. He's up in Kingston. So yeah, he is in your neck of the woods. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. It's good to see you. Shout out NB Canada. Oh, cool. We got lots of Canadians. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to go. I'm like brain dead and toasted and going to go eat some dinner. So thank you all. Be well. It's good to see you. Thank you, Joseph. If any of you have questions, send me a note. I'm happy to answer at unifysupport@plugandgroove.com. We're here for you. We're honored to be able to make a plugin and have enough people playing with it that are giving us really great feedback. Adios from Austin. Good to see you, Robin. All right. Be well, guys. Oh, you're welcome, Steve. Good to see you all. Bye.